Now our UI is almost complete. One other thing that we need to do is go to this create UI, and I'm going to create an image here and rename it to connect screen, and I'm going to drag all of these four items, create room and join room, and both of these input fields into our connect screen. So now we have two screens. One of them is name screen and the other one is connect screen. So by default the connect screen is going to be disabled, and I make sure that this image component on connect screen is removed, so we don't want any visual representation of that. So by default the connect screen is going to be disabled, and user will have an option to set his nickname. Now after setting the nickname uh, and creating the nickname, this screen is going to be disabled and our connect screen is going to be enabled, and in here user can create a room or enter the room name and join room. So now we are going to write a script, and in the script we need a reference to both of these screens, and we also need a reference to our this create name button, because after clicking on that we will set the username to our Photon network. Now let's disable the connect screen and leave the name screen enabled. Now in my assets folder I have created a folder called scripts, and in the scripts we're going to create a new C# script, and I'm going to rename it menu manager. And also I have an empty game object, so by just going to create empty and rename it to menu manager, and on this menu manager drag and drop this menu manager script, and let's open it up in Visual Studio. Now I'm going to remove all of that, and in here first of all we need to import some libraries. So let's say using photon dot pun and using photon dot real time. Also we are going to inherit this class from mono behavior pun callbacks, because we are going to override some methods. Now the first thing we need to do is we need a reference to all of the input fields and buttons. So for that I have already created some code. Let's put it here. Now this is going to hold the reference for username screen and connect screen, so the two screens we have in our scene. Then we have our reference to create username button, which is this button, and in the input fields we have our reference to our username input, create room input and join room input. Now right at the moment this is showing me a compile time error, so let's fix it by importing unity engine.ui. Now we are good to go. Now let's write awake function, and in the awake function we are going to connect with our Photon server. So for that we are going to say Photon network dot connect using settings. Now these settings will be in our server settings script. So right now I think in the resources, so right here we have our server settings. So Photon is going to use these settings and connect to our server. Now after successfully connecting to server, Photon is going to call another function which is on connected to master. So we will simply override that function, public override void on connected to master. Now this function will be called by Photon when we successfully connected to our master. So we are going to simply show a debug message here, debug.log connected to master. Now after successfully connecting to master, we are going to join a lobby. So for that what we are going to do is Photon network dot join lobby, and the type of lobby is going to be type lobby dot default. So the default lobby will be joined. Now after successfully connecting to a lobby, Photon will call another method which is on joined lobby. So we are going to override that also. So public override void on joined lobby, and the first thing is to show a debug message. So connected to lobby. Now in the lobby what we are going to do is we are going to join a room. Now before joining a room, let's test this code. Go back to Unity and let's play the game. Now in the console you will see that both of our methods connected to master and connected to lobby gets called. So now one other thing that we need to do is, as you can see that by default this create name button and input field is visible. So we only want it to visible when we successfully connected to our lobby. So what we are going to do is I am going to copy this username screen, and in the on joined lobby we are going to say dot set active to true, and by default we are going to disable this. Let's run the game again, but we will get an error. You see now we are going to get an error here. So here is it. Now because we haven't assigned our references yet, so in the menu manager you can see that we need to populate these. So let's go to drag this name screen and drag it right here. Same with the connect screen, drag and drop it right here. Now let's go back to our game, and now you will see that when we connect to our lobby, this input field is now visible. Now after joining the lobby, what we are going to do is I am going to create a region here. So region UI methods, and we are going to create a public void on click create name button. So this method will get called when our user inputs his name and click on this create name button. So what we are going to do is we are simply going to get whatever user has typed in the username input, and we are going to set it photon network dot nickname is going to be equal to username input dot text. But we also need to do a small check here, because if user leave this input field empty and click on this create name, then we will have an error. So before that, we are going to say if user input dot text dot length is greater than or equal to 2, then only we are going to set the username. Now one other thing that we can do is we can create another function. So let me first write the code. Public void on name field changed. Now this function is going to be called each time user input something or the value of input field gets changed. So in here what we are going to say is if the username input dot text dot length, so if the length of the text is greater than or equal to 2, then we are going to show this create name button. Otherwise by default this button is going to be disabled. So let's disable it, and after user has input a valid name, only then this button is going to be visible. Now if is greater than or equal to 2, then now we need a reference to our button. So we already have created right here. So create username button dot set active to true, otherwise if the length of text is 0 or 1, we are going to disable that button. False. Now let's go back to Unity, and on the name button in the on click we are going to drag and drop this menu holder, and we are going to call the function on click create name btn. For input field in the on value change, we are going to drag and drop this menu manager, and we are going to call the on name field changed method. So now let's also initialize some of the fields. So create username button, name button right here, and username input is this. Create room input is going to be in the connect, so right here, and join room input is this field. Now save that, and the name screen is going to be disabled. So now let's play the game. Now let's say, now as you can see that after 2 characters the button gets visible, and we can create our name. Now one other thing we need to do is we need to enable our connect screen on this button click, and also we need to hide this name screen. So let's go back to on create name button, and we don't need this if condition because we are hiding, we are only showing the button if the length of the text is greater than 2, so no need for that. Now in here what we need to do is we need to hide this name screen. So user name screen is going to be false and we need to enable our connect screen. So the connect screen is going to be true. Let's test the game again. Now we can also show some loading animation in the start. Now let's say sa create, and now you can see that our connect screen is showing.